All right, howdy folks. I'm just recording a quick video for you so you guys don't have to read anymore today because I know it's Friday and it's the end of the semester and we're probably a bit sick of reading, right? So here's where we're at with the discussion board that we had on the performance review assignment and kind of sharing our ideas out with our classmates. Thanks for your work on that. I know the discussion boards, like I've heard graduate students say they never want to see a discussion board again in their life, right? So these might get a little bit tedious at this point, but the thinking that you put into that was really good. And so there were a couple key points that I want to highlight, make sure that we understand so that we're clear on what's expected in this performance review. And so this can be a meaningful experience for you all, right? Because this is meant to help you reflect on how things have gone this semester, as well as just being able to talk about like your skills and your areas of growth. So here's some of the really good stuff that I saw. I saw people talking about how their writing process had to change or develop in some way. And that writing process being what you do before the words are on paper, like how you come up with ideas, and then how you draft, and then how you revise that draft, and then how you come up with a presentation draft, but then are even able to come back to that and revise that. Thinking about moving from revision as sorry, I might sneeze on camera. Okay, we're good. So thinking about moving from revision, instead of thinking of revision as just periods and exclamation marks and making sure that they're the right amount of commas are in a sentence, right? Like thinking of revision as revisioning the ideas and the focus and the organization of the paper, right? So I saw some people mentioning things that had to do with revision. And that's a great area to emphasize that you've grown in, because I think even like throughout people's careers as writers, people grow in their areas of revision or in their skills in revision, things like that. Let me look at my notes here. Oh, so another really interesting area of growth that I think I've seen pretty well everyone grow significantly in this area, if not everyone grow significantly in this area, is learning to anticipate counter arguments. So learning to structure your argument so that you're answering the questions that you think your audience will have. That's another great example of areas of growth that we can emphasize in our performance review. So those are a couple really strong areas of growth that you could emphasize. If you have others, that's also awesome. So I want to point our attention to some of the things that that people pretty commonly grow in this class, and they could emphasize, and that were also mentioned in the discussion board, right? Something that I did want to point out as a quick point of clarification is that I noticed a lot of us wanted to move in the direction of comparing this class in online format versus this class in an in-person format, and wanting to say something along the lines of, well, here's how I did online in this class, but here's how I think I would have done in person. And I would encourage you to move away from that, and here's why. Because if your focus is on how things went in the online format versus what's going on in your mind when you envision how the semester might have gone when you were in person, those are okay things to think about. And that might actually lead to some really solid ideas that you can emphasize in your performance review. But just doing that comparison between how you think that things might have gone if we were in person versus how things went online is not going to help us get to the objectives of the assignment, because we want to emphasize areas that we've grown in. So here's a way that you could bring in thinking about being in this online format to your research or into your performance review writing. So, for example, I think being online and having to deal with the fact that K-State had the Fire and Hail library and the books are like all over the place and like in caves in Kansas City and Topeka warehouses, like all of that stuff. So having to be in this online format, for me, forced me to grow in thinking through my research process and planning out my research process a bit more for graduate level writing, because I have to allow time for the library to get books, or I have to think about what I want before I actually show up at the library, and like days before I show up at the library. So online learning has caused me to grow in planning out my research process and sort of being a couple steps ahead rather than just showing up at the library and grabbing books off the shelf, right? So that's one way that you could think about how doing this semester online has helped you to grow. But I just want to make sure that we understand that if you are only comparing how the semester went online versus how you think that it would have gone if we were in person, that's not going to help you reflect on your areas of growth as much, and that's not going to help you meet the objectives of the assignment. So other than that, though, lots of really positive things that I saw going on in the discussion board. If you have any questions, I'm going to be online for a lot of this weekend because we, in the graduate department of English, we are all focusing very much on doing our own work as well. So I'm going to be on my computer most of the weekend. If there's something that you need, feel free to reach out and I'll try to get back to you in a reasonable and helpful amount of time. And until then, I'll see you later.